Hey, Brittany and Alexis, thanks for joining me on the show today.
Thank you so much for having us. We're so excited to be chatting with you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Cool. So I know that you are both involved in Agency Vista and Vista Social. So I'm really keen to hear just about the backstory. Like, where did Agency Vista come from first, and then how did you get into Vista Social?
Yeah, so Agency Vista is Vista Social's sister company that was launched first back in late 2019. It was kind of crazy because we launched it and then COVID hit and it was like, oh my gosh, like what's going to happen now? Like there was so much uncertainty, but it ended up doing pretty well. Right now, it's the largest marketing agency network. We have over 48,000 members in 230 countries. They're both separate companies. Like there isn't really overlap with our marketing. We don't really promote Vista Social to Agency Vista or Agency Vista to Vista Social customers. So they are two separate companies. And then Vista Social, we launched in late Q1 of 2022. So we're about a year old right now and really just been building out the foundation over the last year. We're a new social media management tool that offers post scheduling, content creation. We integrated ChatGPT recently. We have social listening, review management. We're very feature rich and we have, I think, 16 social media integrations right now. So we just have basically everything in Vista Social.
So obviously my background is kind of in social media management tools as well. I know what the sort of industry is like. There's loads of competitors. So how would you differentiate yourselves in a crowded space where you have Hootsuite, Sprout Social, Sendable, various others? What's the main differentiator for you guys?
I think the biggest thing is just like the last decade, every decade, I feel like there's a big shift. And I feel like that really happened in 2020. There was, short form video, paid creators, AI is really taken off. And that really has been great for Vista Social to position ourselves into that. I think that's how we sort of got a lot of attention on ourselves, is just by being first to market for a lot of features. Like we were the first to launch TikTok direct publishing, Reels scheduling, integrating ChatGPT. Right now we're 70% cheaper than what else is out there. Like our plans are only $3 a social profile with unlimited users. And then another thing is just our customer service. So right now we're able to deal with and answer tickets within 43 minutes, and most technical inquiries are getting resolved within the first question. And that's because we just jump on a call immediately and get it dealt with. So that's really helped us. And right now we're the #1 easiest to use social media suite on G2. And I think that just all of that together has really helped with that.
Cool. So I'm keen to understand, because you guys came from nowhere pretty much. So how long did you guys spend building the product before you launched?
It was about a year of them building the product. Honestly, I was on the Agency Vista side. I didn't even know if I was going to be involved with Vista Social. And then it was sort of just like, okay, now you're doing both. And I'm like, okay, like the type of startup environment, you just kind of jump in and get going. So that's sort of how it's been.
Cool.
Yeah.
And just to understand kind of how you grew so quickly. So I know you said you launched about a year ago. What is your sort of, I guess, go-to-market strategy in the beginning to attract so many users in this crowded space?
I think the biggest thing was just the thing is that Agency Vista was sort of like my guinea pig with the marketing. Like I tested a lot of different things with Agency Vista. So when Vista Social came around, I already knew sort of what worked. So it was pretty easy to get things up and running. And I think just with the team in general, they all come from a social media management tool background. So it was pretty easy for us to get things moving. The biggest thing was just, I knew that no one knew who Vista Social was. So the biggest thing was really tapping into other people's credibility to help with ours and build that up. And just kind of jumping into relevant conversations as they're happening.
Okay, cool. Just for Alexis, a question for you. So just to kind of give listeners an understanding of kind of how big Vista Social is, could you give us an idea of maybe number of users or number of social profiles connected, that kind of thing?
Yeah. Okay. So the number of social profiles connected, even just as we're hitting our first year mark, is 1.4 million, which is an insane number for just being launched like a little under a year. I think March is when we launched, right? Last 2022. Yeah. So 1.4 million and only on the rise.
That's amazing. And what are the kind of biggest challenges that you guys are facing right now with that sort of growth? If you've been around for about a year, just over a year, with that many profiles, what are some of the challenges you guys are facing?
I don't feel like we have really had many challenges, just because we all have come from, that sort of social media management tool background, that it's been sort of smooth sailing because we kind of know what to expect, or we've experienced those challenges in the past. So we sort of know how to deal with them this time around. The biggest thing I would just say is, for marketing specifically for Alexis and I, is just, you can have a strategy and it works for a few weeks, and then, you have to pivot and align and execute. And it's just, we just keep reiterating that over and over and over again. So I think that just the nature of social media always evolving and changing so rapidly is sort of hard, because you have a strategy, it works amazing for a few weeks, and then you have to drop it and pivot.
Yeah, exactly.
Change everything entirely.
Yeah.
And just yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, even for our launches, it's just sort of getting that content out quickly, I think, is something that is challenging as a small team. But we've done it pretty well. Alexis and I, worked really hard to get all of our ChatGPT content out. We had that ChatGPT available 72 hours after the API became available. And her and I banged the content out within less than 8 hours. So
wow.
Yeah, I would say that's sort of one of the things too.
What's the size of your product team?
It's our product team.
Yeah.
So we have 3 developers and 1 product person right now. Yeah,
that's
so
that's amazing speed.
Yeah, we're a really small team.
So do you think that being small has helped you kind of get things done kind of more quickly and getting things out faster?
Yeah, I definitely think that our team is just very agile. I think one of the things that really has helped us is that we're entirely bootstrapped. So we don't have external investors or a venture capitalist firm. And I find that when a startup does have that, you have to balance building out products that appeal to the investors and the stock price and everything, especially if it's a public company. Whereas we're just solely focused on building out features that are going to be amazing for social media managers and agencies and businesses.
And yeah, I guess with the whole Twitter thing, Twitter's API now being charged for, has that impacted you at all? I think they're charging around $500,000 a year for a few companies, kind of larger sort of social media tools. Are you seeing the same kind of thing for your sort of startup, or have you been able to navigate through that?
I definitely do not think that we're paying $500,000 for the API. I think when it first came out, we were like, what is going on with Twitter? We always we have group chats and we send trending articles or just anything in them. So we're we didn't even know what to expect. But I think that just the nature of being a startup and just how we operate as a company is that it's more we know we're going to handle it type of thing. So it's just sort of getting prepared, aligning on it quickly, and executing. So it hasn't really been that big of a struggle for us.
Yeah, we just try to keep up on it. I mean, when it was first released, it was, it's $100 a month. Oh, now it's $42,000 a month. It's that's insane.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy with, I guess, what's happened with Elon Musk and Twitter.
Even TikTok right now, it's everything is just changing so rapidly with all the different platforms that it's you just are kind of sitting back and being okay, we don't even know what tomorrow's going to hold type of thing.
It's the next update coming, because 5 minutes from now.
Yeah.
So from what you guys are seeing, are you still seeing that video is performing the best on platforms, or is it back to text again with the with the AI that's coming out now?
I feel like they, specifically on Instagram, they've kind of leveled the playing ground for it. I mean, there's still a lot of reels definitely being made. I feel like that's the majority of the content, but I've been seeing a lot more of static images with just text. Yeah. Or carousel posts are doing really well right now. So I would say the playing field is pretty even now. I think that Instagram kind of realized we overestimated all of this short form video content. Now we need to dial it down a little bit, because I mean, everyone was I just want to see my family's posts. I just want to see photos. Instagram was a photo-based social media tool, and now it's all these short form videos. So yeah, even playing field, I think. And AI has definitely aided in that for sure.
So what is this new AI assistant that you guys have built into Vista Social? Can you explain how it works, how users are using it currently?
Yeah, so it's called the AI Assistant, and right now you can generate ideas off of it, captions, and you can actually respond to DMs, comments, and reviews through it as well. So I think one of the biggest things for social media managers is writer's block, or like what we talked about before, just putting out content in relevant conversations. Sometimes you just have to quickly pivot and put some content out to jump into a conversation. And Alexis and I always talk about this, like some days we can bang out so much content and it's so easy. And some days it's like, I can't think for the life of me anything. Like it's, it's a struggle. So I think on those days, having a resource like this that doesn't, slow you down, it can support you on those slower days is really helpful, especially, if you're getting the same messages over and over again in your comments about something. It's just easier to have a response available that you can just bang out quickly.
And that's based on ChatGPT 3. Have you seen any improvements with ChatGPT 4 at all?
I've used ChatGPT 4, like I paid for it, and I honestly have not. I actually think ChatGPT 3.5 was a lot better than 4. Like some of the outputs that 4 was giving me, I was like, what is this? I was responding back to it like, this is not what I asked.
So there it is.
I think that's kind of funny because I've noticed something similar with when they came out with the paid version versus just the free version. I'm currently not paying for it, but like if I was paying for it, I don't know that there would be a big difference in the responses that I'm getting. Like not a big enough difference that I feel like it would be worth paying for.
Yeah.
I think it's different because she's based in the US and I'm in Canada. So I feel like sometimes like the US has access to more things than Canada does. Even like it's crazy with like Instagram, like some days she'll have access to certain audios that I don't have access to, or even like the in-feed music that people can add onto their images now. Like some days I'll go on and I'll see that available on our feed, and then some days I go on and it's not there anymore. So it's kind of funny like that.
So just on the AI again, so kind of writing content for social media, what are some of some of your best practices that you would advise startup founders to adopt when it comes to creating content? Because obviously everyone's adopting AI now. It's helping to spit out this content, but how do you make it more human and kind of more unique in a world where everyone's using this technology?
I think my perspective, and then I'll let Alexis kind of go into what she thinks, but my perspective on this is just when I'm doing content, I'm bringing my one individual perspective and experiences to that content. So I feel like I'm able to only resonate with a certain number of people when I'm writing my content. And I feel like I'm not reaching as many people with it as I could be. And I think that with ChatGPT and just, how often people share information online now, the data set that ChatGPT is trained on, like content creators and social media managers can tap into all of those additional insights that they may not have had themselves if they were creating the content. So I think that it's able to create content that resonates with a wider audience and can be more inclusive. But I think that you have to have the human element to it, which is, emotions and empathy, because I don't think that an AI is able to produce that.
Yeah, I agree entirely. My point was like personalizing it, like not just copying and pasting exactly what it is word for word. Like you have to it's not a tool that's just meant to be like copy and pasted. You still need to like edit it, add in your own, your brand voice, humanize it for sure. Personalize it. Don't just copy and paste.
Yeah.
I think there's like a time and a place, like sometimes people just share an article link and they don't really care what the title of it is type of thing. So if you're just trying to share something like that out, I think the thing is like with Vista Social, like we have this concept of social media management your way. So, there are people who are going to want to personalize it or put emotions and empathy into their content. And there's people that are just going to want to bang out some content and just publish it. So I think that however you want to use social media, like a social media management tool, we have that solution for you within Vista Social.
Yeah. And just from an agency perspective, so we work with agencies at Sendable predominantly. And, if you're working, let's say on behalf of maybe 10 clients who are all in different industries, how would you advise agencies to kind of tailor or kind of create content using AI for each of those different industries for each client? Would they kind of just generate sort of like standard posts and then customize it for each client? Or would they kind of create a CSV and then import it? What's your advice to them?
I think that, I mean, it depends on what works for each agency. Like for us, what works for us is that we plan our content out a month in advance, like content focus. So this week we're going to talk about this, and then we kind of create content around that. But every single day we start our day and we look at what conversations are happening right now. We look at industry news. So I think that in doing that, businesses have an opportunity to jump into conversations. I personally think that it's a bit outdated to just plan things, a month in advance and just put it out there, because social media isn't like a one-way conversation. Like you don't just show up to a party, yell something and walk away. Like you go around and you mingle. So I think that that's what you have to think about when you're, talking about your social media strategy.
Yeah.
So with Vista Social, you can do something called a saved caption. So you can kind of, say a travel company or a travel agency, or an agency that's managing a travel company is what I meant to say. Say they're using our AI assistant, they can use a feature called saved captions and then just kind of create like a title or a category. So these can be based off of the different content types that they're focusing on, or, focuses. So maybe one could be about price, or one could be about certain discounts or certain weather temperatures, so that they're just prepared with ready to go content when, say the weather is, warmer out, and they're going to want to, look at different trips, or if it's colder out, then you're going to want to show them like a trip to Mexico or something. So you can have that content pre-planned and saved within the different categories through saved captions. So that's
amazing. Yeah.
I think they should use it.
Are there any drawbacks of using AI kind of text generators for social media?
I think that it does need to be reviewed by a human. Like, I don't think that you can just set it on like an autopilot and let it run. Like, I think that there are biases, and if there's biases in the data set that it was trained on, then those biases are going to come out within the text. So you do have to be mindful of that and responsible with using it. So I think that there should always be, it should always be reviewed before it gets published.
Yeah, sometimes it can definitely output things that are like a little bit repetitive. So definitely revise.
And do you think there'll be anything in the algorithms that'll prevent sort of AI generated content from ranking in the feed in the future?
Honestly, I was worried about that, and I was worried about it with Google as well, like with blog posts, because they have spoken about that previously on, limiting or, penalizing you if you have AI generated content.
Yeah.
But they recently put something out that AI generated content is okay if it's actually, providing value and quality. So I don't necessarily, I think that it's like what we were saying before, like you have to review it, has to make sense. If you're just throwing out random AI prompts, like it's, you could get penalized, I think. But I think that if you, work with it and personalize it, then I think you should be fine.
I think they would be losing out on a lot of content if they decided to penalize it, for sure. I think everyone, for the most part, is kind of moving towards, if you're a business owner, an agency owner, something, I feel like at some point in your business, you're using AI generated content. So I think they would be losing out a little bit if they did.
Yeah.
And I think that they're aware and everybody else is aware, thankfully.
Well, I think too, like social media platforms have started to adopt AI on their own. Like LinkedIn recently put out an AI, and I think that sort of sets the tone for what they perceive, about AI. If they're going to penalize, like I don't think they're going to penalize anything if they're adding their own set of AI features. So I think that agencies should be fine.
Yeah, and even like content creation tools like Canva, integrated one, they have within their docs, like that. It's basically you can ask it similar things as you would ChatGPT. So I feel like a lot of platforms are almost encouraging it.
What are your thoughts on using AI generated images for social media?
I still believe that, like, I believe that the playing field is leveled out, but I definitely think video content is still taking off, and like paid UGC creators right now are like a massive deal. So I think that I think that AI generated content is great for like product shots or things like that, like banging out things like that quickly. But I think that, you know, just having a person there speaking to helps to humanize the brand.
Mm.
Yeah, I agree.
So you don't see a place for images just yet on driving engagement on social media, right?
Like we've seen actually amazing results with static images with music on them.
Oh yeah.
So, but that's on Instagram, you know, with
Mm.
TikTok, it's obviously all video. So
Yeah.
the crazy thing though is that Google put out a study saying that 40% of Gen Z are using social media instead of traditional search engines. So I just sort of feel like, and it makes total sense. Like you can get all the information you want within 15 seconds watching an interactive video and seeing, you know, what the product actually looks like instead of like a company generated photo shoot of it retouched.
Yeah.
Perfect. So
Yeah.
I think that it makes sense that people would be going more towards social media than search engines. So I think it's like crazy. Like I feel like we're on a massive shift right now where it's going to be interesting to see where search even is, because if you can just go to ChatGPT to ask it a question, I mean, that is a lot quicker than typing into Google, sourcing your information, reading through to find the part that you need. And then it's only written in the one way the author wrote it. So if you don't necessarily understand it that well, you can't in real time ask the author what they meant in that part. Whereas with ChatGPT, you can continually ask it questions to break down that information and explain it in a way that resonates with you.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking now, like, do you think the future of social media managers is at risk? Because if you're a small business, you know, most small, I guess, you know, if I guess small businesses will generally approach an agency or approach a freelancer to write social media content for them. Now, if you can go to an AI, you know, like to a chat GPT kind of thing, that can kind of create the content for you, why would you pay a social media manager to do that job? What are your thoughts on the future of social media managers?
Personally, I don't think it's not at large at a risk. I feel like there's definitely going to be some of those people who are like, well, I could just do it myself. I'll just ask ChatGPT. I'll just get an AI image generator to, you know, create the content for me. But I think that there's also going to be those people who still see the value in having somebody else that's not just them behind their business, humanizing it, not just using AI generated content for the most part.
For me personally, like I think that like social media and just digital marketing, like anyone within that field, your job description used to be like this and now it's this, you know, like it's just grown so exponentially that you really do need the right set of tools to support you in creating that. And I think it hits smaller teams, like it's just not scalable to, you know, bang out all this content. And I think for larger teams, with having more people involved, you're a lot slower to execute. And I also think that you struggle with having a consistent tone and style with more people involved in creating the content. So I think that having a tool like this supports both small and large teams.
And just back to the social media point, though, if you were saying that the video is still like the main content medium to use on social, what is the benefit of posting text? You know, is text still so important on social media when short form video is so crucial these days?
I definitely think it is, back to that point about the search engines, because social media platforms are more operating as a search engine now. Like, so it's the in-video text, it's having it in your caption, it's having that same text within your hashtag. Like, I think it's being more strategic with the words that you're using and the keywords that you're using on your videos.
Yeah, like specifically with TikTok, you can go to TikTok and search something just like you would similarly on Google, and like you'll get the search results because it's so SEO optimized. Instagram is like kind of following up behind them with like keywords and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely important.
Cool. Yeah, so I'm keen to understand kind of how you built Vista Social from nothing to what it is now. Could you maybe share just some tactics for founders listening, just how you kind of built that audience and how you attracted so many users to the platform early on?
I think the thing was that credibility matters. Like, I just, you know, I'm big into e-commerce shopping myself, and I'm not going to hand over my credit card to a company that I have never heard of and I don't trust. So I knew that that was a huge thing for us to overcome, was just, you know, getting that credibility. And I think when you're a new company and you're starting that up, you don't have it and you have to be aware of that. So I think that you need to tap into, people that do have credibility to mention your company and sort of leverage that until you have it yourself. So I think that that's a major aspect for founders. And I think that just being genuine, and not overselling their product, actually relating to them on a human level. And I find that, it's like what I said before. I think a lot of people just throw content out and it's like a one-way conversation. And I think that, you do have to spend time building, a community and interacting in a way that isn't going to serve you immediate results.
So just to get tactical there. So if you were to approach an influencer, how do you go about kind of bringing these influencers in, getting them to promote, your product and platform?
I think just even resharing their content without even having them mention Vista Social or anything was something that we did from the, beginning, was that if we saw content that was performing well or someone that, had influence or aligned with our branding, then we would reach out to them and say, we loved this video. Can we reshare it on our own profiles? And I think that it definitely helps, especially when you're a small team, so that you don't have to continually put the content out yourself. You can sort of take a day off and just reshare theirs. But I would just send them a little message. You could even use ChatGPT or our AI assistant to ask, create a message for me to reach out to this influencer.
Oh,
and
wow.
they'll do it for you.
It's a good idea. I might try that.
Right? Work harder, work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, so from reaching out and just chatting to them, you kind of built this online community of people who are keen to try out the product. And then, I guess launching the product, how did you go about announcing it?
The biggest thing was, for us to be first to market for these features. I knew that was key in our messaging, is saying that we were first to market for the features. So if I just say we're first to market, that, who's going to believe me? I'm from the company.
Yeah.
So I would always do a press release first, just to validate the information that we're putting out. And then that really helped us on just getting organically mentioned in different blogs and articles. We got added to Influencer Marketing Hub on a listicle for the top TikTok tools, which was huge for us because they have, great site traffic and a great domain rating. So that really helped ours. But just doing things like that, I think, and just jumping into relevant conversations on social media and just saying this is great, but did you know this? And just putting the word out about our feature. It was very manual.
Really?
Yeah.
So before we go, we have a mix of entrepreneurs, founders, marketers listening to the show. Where's the best place to find out about Vista Social and more about you guys?
Yeah, so you can connect with us on social media. Our social media handle is Vista Social app, and you can visit our website at www.vistasocial.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.